The artist that I focused my research on was William de Kooning. William was a Dutch-American man that was born in 1904 in Rotterdam and then later moved to the U.S. in 1926. Although he moved to the U.S. in 1926, he was never considered an official U.S. citizen until 1962. This was because the way that he made his passage to the U.S. was by stowing away on a ship illegally. Then later in 1927, William was able to get his own studio in Manhattan. He did this by supporting himself by working carpentry, house painting, and commercial art. Later, while still living in New York, William met a woman named Elaine Freed. She was also another painter, and later became his wife in 1943. Then, soon after World War II, de Kooning started focusing on a style of painting known as abstract expressionism, otherwise known as action painting. Shortly after his development as an abstract expressionism artist, he joined a group known as the New York School. This group shared his passion for abstract expressionism and included many artists known as Jackson Pollock, Elaine de Kooning, Lee Krasner, Franz Kline, Arshile Gorky, Mark Rothko, and many others. However, it wasn't until the early 20th century for which William de Kooning finally got the recognition for his works in abstract expressionism. Although William de Kooning mainly focused on abstract expressionism pieces, he still paid great attention to all detail in the paintings. His process included layering images on images, erasing, revising, and then reinventing. He had mentioned that his goal was to find a new form of art that would stir and speak to anyone looking at it. Although he may have received a lot of praise for his work in abstract expressionism, he also received a lot of criticism. Some critics even believed that de Kooning's work was outdated and considered to be irrelevant. But then, some others countered and said that they thought that his work was just as talented as Jackson Pollock's. As I was scrolling through some of his paintings, I personally thought that they were amazing. I believe that his goal in making a form of art that would stir and speak to anyone was accomplished in his paintings. With all of the different techniques and ways that he would create his paintings, I believe that they can all be interpreted in many different ways, depending on who's looking at it. But from my point of view, it almost looks like I'm looking into a whole other world. I really loved looking at the intricate and almost 3D looking, colorful strokes that he would add, all across his painting. As I was looking through a number of his paintings, I noticed that many of them focused on certain colors. The paintings that featured a mostly red tone reminded me of a very hectic world, in which everything was out of control. But then there were also the other paintings with mostly blue accents that seemed very calm and controlled, almost the exact opposite of the red paintings. I thought it was very cool how each color and choice of strokes would make a different impression upon the person looking at it, whether it influenced a crazy kind of tone or a calm one. In my painting, I was mostly inspired by William de Kooning's warmer toned paintings that featured a lot of red. These specific paintings reminded me of a lot of craziness going on, and with what's going on in the world today, I wanted to try and recreate that and make the person viewing my piece feel the same way. I kept it similar by adding a lot of the same types of colors that he would use and adding them in very similar types of ways, splattering them all over the different parts of the canvas. But I decided to put a little bit of a twist on it, and instead of keeping it smooth like de Kooning's were, I decided to add a little bit of texture by placing napkins over it to try and lift the paint and mix it to get a different type of texture. I believe that adding this type of effect really added to the overall painting as a whole and making it seem as if it was a part of a hectic kind of world. And although I added a lot of blue aspects to my painting, I made sure to not keep the strokes smooth, but yet add a lot of different textures there to make it seem more crazy. My goal was to try and create a painting that would inspire the same types of feelings that de Kooning's would offer the person viewing it, and I believe when I look at the painting, I accomplished that goal.